Hey, what is up, guys? We are here with the Ferra Torr character breakdown. If you guys haven't seen our character breakdowns before, we cover notable normals, strings, special moves, differences between their variations, and talk about basic game plans. So Ferra Torr is a really interesting character, probably one of the most interesting characters. A new character to MK. It's fairly slow walk speed, forward and backwards, as you guys can see. Retreating and towards walk speed is really slow. Run, also really not so fast. A lot of characters have pretty fast runs, even if they have low walk speed, like Kotal Khan gets around pretty quick with his run and stuff like that. That is not the case for Ferra Torr. But Ferra Torr kind of makes up for it in a couple of different ways. So when it comes to the normals, this character, pretty much every normal this character does has some kind of low or overhead property to it, or both. So there's a low, there's an overhead, and you know that has a string attached to it, where you can use Ferra for a little juggle there. And this move is actually special cancelable. The little low scoop is actually special cancelable. So yeah, so that is a low overhead mix-up right there. So yeah, pretty much everything this character does has some kind of mix-up behind it, and just everything. Like everything about this character is pretty much high-low and guessing and command throw, because this character has a command throw as well. So let's talk a little about that. We're in Vicious right now, and Vicious has a couple of moves, right? So Vicious is the more well, actually we'll cover the universal moves first. I guess we should probably do universal. So universally, this character has a couple of different moves. You saw the charge already, which is back forward 3. Has a little overhead element to it. You guys saw the EX version looks just like that. Actually doesn't do any more damage. It just has an EX hit armor on it because it is EX. And there's a couple projectiles that is universal with this character. So there is down back 2, which is a little overhead projectile, looks just like that. And there's back forward 2, which is a little, you know, bowling, sliding low. Now the interesting part about this character is that whenever Ferra is gone, you lose Ferra normal. So this is my down 1 when I have Ferra on my back. And then if I throw Ferra and I do down 1, you know, I have a different normal. So I don't keep access to it, which is why standing 4, this button, is a string like that has a little projectile on it. And when that character's gone, I can no longer do any moves that require the character. So you have to keep that in mind. It's kind of like Ice Climbers from Melee, if you guys are familiar with that. So when Ferra is gone, you can't do things that require Ferra on your back. So just something to keep in mind, which is really important when we get to Lackey. So now that we've covered universal stuff, let's talk about Vicious. So Vicious has a command throw. Looks just like that. Now you see there's like this little animation after, and during that animation you can hit X or Y, and you know you can get some extra damage on it and stuff like that. So that is the command throw. There's the EX version. Looks just like that. Same kind of thing, just get some extra damage on it. So that's the command throw. The other special move is back forward 4, which is a mid projectile. Same thing with the other projectiles. When Ferra's gone, my normals obviously change. So there's that as well. So that is Vicious. One thing you're going to notice pretty quickly about... oh, you know what? One thing that I should probably mention is that this command throw can be juggled into. All the command throws with this character can be juggled into. I think it's so slow that I probably have to do a normal, yeah. So every command throw this character has can be juggled into. It can be used in combos. So that's just something to keep in mind, because I know a lot of you guys are probably curious. So this stance, Ruthless, has 2 moves. It has Pain and Gain, and it has a command throw of its own, which is pretty interesting. Now, the command throw in this version, as you can see, the range is incredible. Like, I'm at starting distance of the match. A step past starting distance, it still reaches. It's really far. Here's the EX version of it. Just a little bit extra damage on the end of it. That's what it looks like. So really, really far command throw. Same thing as before. It can be juggled into, if you guys were wondering. I just thought I would make sure you guys knew. The other move in this variation is called Pain and Gain. It gives you a damage buff, so that does 12%. If I do Pain and Gain, 14%. So you can get a little extra damage on your combos there, right? It does 5% of my life to do it. So if you look at my life in the upper left, yeah, it does a little bit of my own life every time I do that one. So yeah, that is Ruthless. Pretty straightforward. Like I said, this character, I feel like this is one of those characters where you can definitely play every variation, because the character is so straightforward that you... it would definitely be worth learning all 3 variations, because there's not huge differences between 2 of them, the 2 we just showed. Lackey is where things get a little different. So remember before we had all those normals and specials that use Ferra? Lackey doesn't use Ferra at all. Ferra is not a thing in this matchup, right? It's not a thing in this variation. So as you see there, the string before that threw Ferra now is just a juggle string. This string is completely gone. My down 1 is always this down 1, which is like the best down 1 ever. It's ridiculous. This probably is one of the best down 1s in the game. It reaches its starting distance, 5 frames, Really, really great, right? And a lot of your special moves changed in this version as well. So yeah, like the normals, the strings, everything's a little different in this. So if you guys go to the move list, you can see what's new. So the back 2 is, that's overhead, that's a little different. Back 4 looks like that now. So everything's changed, and there's I think 4 new strings. Yeah. So yeah, everything's just a little bit different in the stance as far as that, because anything that involved Ferra before is now gone. So as far as the moves in this variation, you obviously lose the Ferra toss, but you gain a new charge, back forward 3, and the EX version of it looks like this. You know, just does a little bit of extra damage. You have a command throw in this version as well. Just kind of a nice little hug there. 14%. EX version I think does like 19 or something. Yeah, so you get a little, what is that, 5%. Now, the interesting move, I think, is back forward 2, which is this little roll, right? So, one of the things that was troublesome in the other matchup was the mobility, but the roll helps you out a lot, especially EX roll is really fast. Gives you a knockdown, it lets you run up after and do whatever you want. Really, really neat stuff, so that's a really good special move. And the other one is down back 2, which is like an uppercut like that, the EX version. Juggle properties, so you can combo after. So that is Lackey. So obviously, Ruthless and Vicious are pretty similar. There's just a slight change in, you know, you have the buff in one, and you have a different projectile in the other, right? So very little difference there, but Lackey is much different. There's an emphasis on Torr here, and the Ferra normals and specials are all gone. So this is a character, like I mentioned, where I definitely feel you should try out all the variations, because things are very, very simple to figure out, right? It has tricky high-low mix-ups, not high mobility, but high in mix-up potential. And just a really interesting, fun character. I definitely recommend checking this character out if you're interested. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this character breakdown for Ferra Torr, and I'll see you guys again soon.